David Hogg and Laura Ingraham have had a Twitter war, with Hogg accusing Ingraham of being a bully. But is that accurate? The tragedy at YouTube earlier this last week, with 3 people injured and the shooter killed. Punish a Muslim Day came and went, and as far as I can tell, nothing happened. Hello everyone, Steve Britton here for another edition of the podcast. Yes, I know it's a little bit late. It's been a rough weekend. It's spring break at school, so that means that the kid's home, and so I've had a very busy week of being a dad. So there you go. That's what's been going on in my life lately. So let's get down to business. I'm going to start with a little bit about what's going on with David Hogg and Laura Ingraham. So let's get started with that, and we'll take it from there. And I'm going to give you a quick language and content warning.
They're pathetic fuckers that want to keep killing our children. They could have blood from children spattered all over their faces and they wouldn't take action because they'll still see those dollar signs.
Fox News host Laura Ingraham is apologizing for a tweet she sent going after Parkland massacre survivor and high school student David Hogg.
They cannot push us around. From a journalistic standpoint, she needs to be more objective and needs to stand down, because the issue needs to be gun violence in America. But what she's trying to do is to distract from that, and I hate it.
Do you accept her apology?
No. She's only apologizing after a third of her advertisers pulled out.
Unless your political aides are the ones who are telling people that they're crisis actors, like...
Yeah, I'd love to meet that. Hey, if you're out there, fuck you. It's also been great advertising for me. In terms of acting, because I don't give a shit what people say about me, but they've quadrupled my Twitter following and they've done a great job of that. And I think it's really disgusting, the fact that she basically tried promoting her show after apologizing to me. They can say as many lies as they want about me, but if people are becoming more politically active regardless of if they're a Democrat or Republican, that's a great thing. With Rick Scott, it's like, when I get elected to Senate, we're not gonna let that fucking happen, and you guys better not either. I'm gonna implement all of these amazing things. Let me make sure I do it right before my election for Senate, when I try calling out Bill Nelson. He's turning this political, because those fuckers aren't going to get reelected.
Would you consider sitting down with someone like Laura Ingraham and reaching across the aisle just for the sake of common ground and trying to find the solutions that you're talking about?
See, I would like to do that, but first I would need her to be more objective in the way that she talks about us. We've grown up around Columbine. We've grown up through the recession. We've grown up with 9/11. We've grown up in this police state. We know what it's like to be heavily regulated, and we've seen that oftentimes it can be a very contentious topic, but it's something that we have to work together on, and something that we need to come together as Americans, not as Democrats or Republicans on, but as Americans. What sick fuckers are out there that want to continue to sell more guns, murder more children, and honestly just get reelected? What type of person are you when you want to see more fucking money than children's lives? What type of shitty person does that? She gets this really threatening tone about us that we don't have.
Well, as we just saw, David Hogg has many faces. When he's being interviewed by CNN, he's polite and keeps to the point. But on other forums, he can be a bit of a potty mouth, can't he? Now, I'm not personally opposed to dropping an F-bomb now and again, and it certainly suggests that Hogg knows his audience in different circumstances. What I find more interesting and telling about these interviews is the fact that he is self-contradictory in what he is saying. In one breath, he's verbally attacking a Republican candidate for Senate, and in the next, he's being conciliatory and wanting to reach out across party lines to, in his words, solve the problem. He talks about not wanting to repeal the Second Amendment, but then he talks about how the NRA are child killers. David Hogg is certainly more than willing and able to dish out the invective. How do you think a law-abiding member of the NRA feels about being smeared by Hogg as a child killer? But when Laura Ingraham mentioned that he was whining about not being accepted into certain colleges, based on his GPA and his SAT scores anyway, he threw a temper tantrum on Twitter and he went after her advertisers. So far, it looks like 18 advertisers have either dropped her show or have indicated that they won't be purchasing advertising during her show in the future. It's probably safe to say that several of those advertisers never intended that their ads ended. Let me try that again. It's probably safe to say that several of those advertisers never intended to buy advertising on Fox News anyway, and at least one advertiser indicated that their ads ended when their contract came to an end, and then they had no intention of buying ads again. But when they made their purchase, they didn't consider any politics, current events, or any behavior of any hosts in their advertising evaluations. In other words, they made their decisions strictly based on the size of a show's audience and the amount of money that they had to spend. This last advertiser I'm referring to is what I would describe as the smartest advertiser of them all. They looked strictly at the number of eyeballs, how much spending to get the exposure to that number of eyeballs. And then they worked it out, and they looked at the efficiency of their money. Eyeballs for dollars. Bang for buck, so to speak. But David Hogg chose to double down on his attack after Ingraham apologized. He rejected her apology, saying it was a self-serving apology. To that, all I have to say is this. What an ass. This isn't about David Hogg being a victim anymore. He's a bully and a hypocrite. He has dished out some of the nastiest, horrendous vitriol that I've heard. But when someone says he was whining about colleges, he tried to destroy their career because, make no mistake, advertisers are what keep people like Laura Ingraham on the air. Ingraham is a commentator. She is not objective. She's paid to express her opinion, and that's what she does. Whether she crossed the line with her tweet about David Hogg whining is debatable, but she certainly didn't deserve the response she got for saying what she said. No, David. Laura is not the bully here. You, Mr. Hogg, are the bully. You've taken an insensitive comment and blown it completely out of proportion, and in doing so, you've proven that it was accurate. Neither you nor your schoolmates deserved what happened on February the 14th, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But you've taken this to a whole new level. You've stooped to the level of identity politics, and it exposes you as an ugly, authoritarian, social justice bully. Now, after the break, we'll talk a bit about another shooting, this time at YouTube. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Programs like this take a lot of time and effort to put together, and I hope that my work, which I of course love doing, brings value to you. Now, if that's the case, and of course if you're able, please consider becoming a subscriber or a sponsor of this show. It's never expected, but it is most certainly always appreciated. To become a subscriber or a supporter of the show, whether it's a one-time donation or a monthly sponsorship, head on over to makersupport.com/scbritain. There you can subscribe or donate in support of this program. Every little bit helps improve the show through new and updated equipment, researchers, better studio space, and so on. So please give it some thought, and at the very least, like this video and subscribe to my channel here. And that will help promote my channel and the program to others. Thanks.
I'm being discriminated and filtered on YouTube, and I'm not the only one. So recently, they also attacked my Persian channel.
Exiting all buildings associated with YouTube.
CBS News has learned it was Ogdom who opened fire at YouTube headquarters, shooting 3 people and injuring another who got hurt trying to escape. It was a horrifying scene with reports of an active shooter. YouTube employees came running out of buildings on this sprawling tech campus with their hands in the air and on their heads.
Now, let's be perfectly clear, I think this woman was nuts. Obviously, I can't diagnose mental illness, and I wouldn't presume to. But I can form an opinion based on what I've seen, and the clips you saw in that introduction to this segment were only a small selection of what this lady had online. Her material was, In a word, awful. She apparently had a large following in Iran, and perhaps her videos were aimed at that particular community. But according to North American standards, they made little sense, and her production quality was terrible. And that, I think, explains why she wasn't getting views. Not because YouTube was filtering her, but because too few people were watching her content. It is not unusual for certain mental illnesses or psychological disorders to lead towards a persecution complex or a paranoia. And it looks very much like the shooter was convinced that YouTube was out to get her. And given the adpocalypse of last year, there was evidence to back up her belief, false or not. False as it was, rather, up. Several of her videos showed graphic animal abuse, which would certainly be filtered in any event. Of course, absolutely none of this justifies her actions or makes YouTube to blame for the shooting. I'm not into blaming the victim, and while the woman felt victimized, she isn't the victim of her actions. The victims are the 3 injured YouTube, or rather the 4 injured YouTube employees, and I really hope they return to health and work soon. And I also hope that, if they need it, they get the appropriate counseling so they can work through what has to be an incredibly traumatic experience. Now, while YouTube isn't at fault for the attack, of course, they also need to understand that they are a service provider, not an ideological platform. They shouldn't be filtering anyone. They shouldn't filter far-left content creators, nor should they filter far-right content creators. So long as nobody is advocating violence or violating copyright, the fact is, YouTube needs to simply provide the service, and the audience will determine who succeeds and who fails. Now, after this next break, I'll wrap up with a short segment regarding the horrendous idea of Punish a Muslim Day, which happened last week in the UK. Before we continue, I just want to send a quick shout out to my friends over at Goalscape. Now, if you're anything like me, you find yourself looking at the squirrels rather than getting your work done. This can, of course, be a real problem for people who, like me, get distracted very easily, since focus and staying on task is a real key to success in life. Goalscape can help you with this. I've started using it, and I'm finding it very useful in both keeping myself focused, but also in breaking down the big projects into smaller steps to ensure that the job gets done, both successfully and as well on time. It's free to get started, and there's some downloadable software with a 14-day free trial period, which gives you the chance to determine if Goalscape is for you. So when you head over to Goalscape, make sure that you let them know that I've sent you, and you can do that by using the link here, stephenbritton.net/recommend/Goalscape. I've put that link into the description to this video, which will make it nice and convenient for you. So give Goalscape a try. Now, during the month of March, a set of flyers appeared in the UK declaring April the 3rd to be Punish a Muslim Day. Naturally, the usual suspects went crazy with all the various levels of government condemning the flyers, the police beginning an investigation to determine and locate the person or people responsible for the flyers, and, of course, Muslims declaring that every day is Punish a Muslim Day. Now, that third statement is just as absurd as the very concept of a Punish a Muslim Day to begin with. Most Muslims in the UK are probably left alone by the general public most of the time, and the times that you do get clashes between the two cultures are when there is a terrorist attack carried out by an ISIS supporter. Or, of course, when there's a major Muslim event that gets counter-protested by a group such as the English Defence League. I'm not going to mince words here either. There are serious issues with Muslim and English culture. Many say that the two are incompatible, and when you see the terrorist attacks that have happened over there, like the Manchester bombing or the London Bridge attack, you start to see what I'm getting at. There's also the Rotherham and the Telford's Muslim grooming gang scandals, where non-Muslim girls were sexually abused for decades, and the police deliberately looked the other way to avoid accusations of racism. Then there's the disastrous treatment of Lauren Southern, who has been banned from the UK for exercising freedom of speech by handing out flyers which stated that Allah was a gay god. She and her colleagues had every right to hand those flyers out, and those who were offended should have been told to get lost. But no, instead the police shut her and her colleagues down and took their materials away, and later banned Lauren from the UK entirely, simply for handing out what they called overtly racist literature. What a load of crap! Which brings us to Punish a Muslim Day. Just because there are serious cultural problems and conflicts occurring never justifies this kind of call to violence. The flyers indicated a scale of points for certain culturally motivated attacks, from small point totals for pulling out a hijab to larger point totals for burning down a mosque, to extremely absurd numbers for nuking Mecca. And this, of course, is all wrong, and it's also the wrong approach. Islam may have serious problems and be in a major need of reform, but these flyers were a prime example of what hate speech, or, because it is a printed material, hate literature, actually represents. And I do indeed hope that those who publish these flyers are found and prosecuted for this very reason. Not because they're speaking out against Islam, but because they're calling for violent acts against Muslims. Now, fortunately, the whole idea of Punish a Muslim Day seems to have fizzled out. I've looked for actual evidence of crimes occurring against Muslims for that day, and it seems there weren't any credible reports, which I have to say is a very good thing. So I want to give credit to the cooler heads which seem to have prevailed on a day which, otherwise, could have gone very badly. I'm Steve Britton.